pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the workshop for July 29th, 2025. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend today's school board workshop. This workshop is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly among ourselves and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and education of our children here in Clay County. There will be an opportunity for the public to ask questions at the end of the workshop presentation. Questions will be allowed. Public comment will not be allowed. If you wish to ask a question, please fill out a comment card with your question and hand the card to a deputy. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. Up first, we're going to start with CCSO, their year-end update.
Good morning, Superintendent. Board, thank you for having us here today. I handed out to you all a copy of our 24-25 school year in review. So for those of you who have been in meetings with us during the course of the year, the format's fairly similar. So first year results, if we gave ourselves a report card, I'm going to give us a generous A-. I think that we, talking about the teamwork aspect, talking about what we were able to accomplish in the first year, I think when we sat down just over a year ago and we thought, where is this heading? What's this going to look like? Everything that we hoped to accomplish, we did just that. So it was some good teamwork. Very proud of the men and women that I have working with me over in the school safety department. The people at the sheriff's office will help pull this off to work with us to be able to provide security to you. So looking at the stats from last year, on the quick facts on the top left, we had 7,877 calls for service. The next line you see where it says 504, so those are the ones that we were sent to. That could be something as simple as a school principal or an admin person saying, hey, could you come over here, we have a problem. It could be a 911 call, it could be a dispatch call from our headquarters. The self-initiated, anytime one of our deputies interacted on behalf of the school or otherwise as an officer with one of the children or an administrative staff person in the school, they would log in the computer. So when you say, well, what are they doing all day? This is what they're doing. And there are a lot of different calls. For the most part, they're disturbances, stuff that's kids fighting or possible theft of property, lost property, things of that nature. On the threat assessments, at the end of the year, we had 183 threat assessments. 8 of those were closed by arrest. A lot of those had other things where they were just informational or where we referred it to the school for discipline related to school activities, but at least 8 arrests did occur from our threat assessments. Of the ones that we worked, quite a few were worked on the patrol side. I'll talk about that in a little bit, where the call comes in, and as you know, the kids go home, they have light to eat, they get ready to go to bed, and they drop a line onto Fortify, Florida, and they tell us what was happening in school, so we activate, and that is patrol on the midnight side, beginning and doing most of the work on the threat assessment. If it needs follow-up in the morning by the SRO, the information is provided to us on school safety for the follow-up. If not, they handle it right then and there, especially in the case of an arrest that needs to be made on the spot. They will handle that at the patrol side and report to us. And we do a QA, quality assurance on that, make sure it meets all the needs. And our number is not the same as your number on threat assessments because you have your own. Now, we are a part of the threat assessment team in the schools, but that number, that's your number, this is just ours. So that's just what CCSO handled. The next section is the NIBRS, which NIBRS replaced the UCR in terms of reporting crimes. And not every crime that happens gets reported to NIBRS. So when you see, well, there's only 317 things that were reported to NIBRS, those are the stats that NIBRS tracks. So that's why the numbers are different from the total number that you might see, because other things have happened, but they're not cases that NIBRS tracks. Those are the ones that they report for national crime statistics. So you will not see everything included in that number. But we had 317 total incidents, 222 persons crimes, with battery being the leading one, 43 property crimes with theft being the leading one, and then we have what we call society crimes, which is either possession of drugs or weapons. And then there's a small explanation about that. So So and again, NIBRA's National Incident-Based Reporting System, that's the acronym. On the training side, right below that, we have over 9,000 hours of training. They're actually in training right now, but we'll include that as part of our next year report. They being my SROs, trained consistently, first of all, on the part of transition time, and then also throughout the year. And we've trained on everything, and people say, why are we spending so much time on active assailant? Well, number one, that's why we're here. Marty Stoneman Douglas was based on an active assailant incident. It wasn't based on a crisis intervention. But however, because we believe in the holistic approach, we tell our SROs to build relationship with the kids. We tell them to learn how to befriend them, become a mentor, someone that they trust. Then when they do that, the kids turn to the SROs, hopefully, and tell them what's going to happen in advance of what goes on in the school. So it's like a warrior guardian mindset. We are a guardian most of the time, but should the moment come we need to be a warrior, that's when we step into play. So to be an effective warrior, we have to train. That means we work on multiple aspects of active assailant trainings. The single response, meaning just one SRO in a school, or a team response. We work on our incident command system. We work on our hazardous response plans, our CHIRPs, where we talk about how it is that we respond to these types of calls. And the more we practice, the more effective we'll be should that moment come and when that moment comes. So that is why we train so much in that, in case you're ever asked. On the right-hand side, case dispositions. So with an asterisk, you see we cleared 592 of 621 cases. Again, that's your difference between the 317 and the NIBRs, but we total work 621 cases. Bless you. The difference is, clearance basically means for statistical purposes, we had a resolution. It's considered solid for reporting purposes. So that could be a variety of ways, everything from an arrest to an exceptional clearance where prosecution was declined by the state, or it was handled by the schools in lieu of a criminal case. That's why those numbers will be somewhat different from case to case. 28 cases of ours were cleared by arrest, 106 were handled through school discipline. We did 97 juvenile delinquency citations. That's quite a bit, and we had 10 Baker Acts. So on the arrests, you see some of the charges that we've had: possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana, vandalism, disrupting or interfering with school function, petty theft, driving while license suspended, revoked, and possession of firearm on school grounds. Right below that box, you see contraband seized. We had 3 bladed weapons and 1 firearm that we seized this year, and 8 grams of cocaine, just over 8 grams of cocaine, and 59 grams of marijuana. So keeping in mind that we are out there, and any report of any kind of narcotics that comes through the chain to us, anything that we're aware of, it gets handled. Ultimately, it's a decision of the state if prosecution is made, but we do what we have to do on scene. And if there's ever a time that you hear that the deputy is not doing anything with any narcotics, please call me directly and we'll handle that right away. But I don't worry about that with my team. What we do is we handle the stuff that's brought to our attention, we find what we can find, we develop information that we can develop, and then we go through with it like we're supposed to. A few highlights on the bottom. So I talked about the CHIRP, the County Hazardous Incident Response Plan, and we go over every one of those every year, and we talk with school safety and Director Boyack and his team, and what we do is we are constantly critiquing them. For example, why would we go looking at these plans every year? Middleburg High School, right across the street, there's a big subdivision. Part of a CHIRP plan, or a CHIRP, is what streets do we have to block off and where do we have to put deputies? And would that affect where we might have a staging area because now there's a subdivision there? So or what new construction was built at Lake Asbury Junior High School or any of the other schools? Without us constantly reviewing it, we could have outdated information. The CHIRPs are kept on our department computer where everybody can see them. They're kept on our real-time crime center. I have hard copies and SROs have hard copies of their schools in their office. I keep all of them in my car so that if something should happen, like we had in Oakleaf in the beginning of the year, which turned out to be swatting, everybody knew where to go. They're an excellent tool, so we are working at those. And you can see here too, we have suspect neutralization, medical response, the school floor plan familiarization. We like to have patrol officers come in and get an understanding. Each school has a little bit of a different dynamic where you have Oakleaf, 3 levels in one part, how many acres you have over there, plus you also have outbuildings, you have a lot of area to cover. They have to have some level of familiarization with the schools so that when they respond, it's not completely foreign because they have enough on their plate when they get there. Traffic management and family reunification, where the district safety and security group are handling the reunification, but they're working in tandem with us. So our assignment in school safety would be to work with your crew at a reunification park. But again, if we don't practice this, and Director Boyack and I talk about it consistently, if we don't talk about this, we don't practice it when it happens, and it's still going to be chaotic, but we can limit the chaos by practicing and being prepared. We developed an ICS, or Incident Command System operational plan, and we implemented an IMT, Incident Management Team, for graduation. So for the first time that I can remember, what we did was we put all the stakeholders in the same room. We had safety and security, we had our team from school safety, we had fire rescue on board, we had everybody you needed at the EOC ready to go, everybody working off of the same network of channels. We had dispatchers ready to go. We had a plan in place because 6 high schools, as you all know, graduate the same night, which is logistically, it's very tough. So for the first time, we implemented this plan, and I think it went off really well. We had no reported incidents. We had something across the street from Orange Park High, not related to the graduation, but we had the people in place that we needed. We had resources in place. It was effective, and it was purposeful and intentional, and that's how we operate. So that was, and I appreciate Director Boyack's partnership with that. And if you look at the notes here, we put several hundred hours, and we put person hours just to be kind, but we had several hundred hours of planning for the implementation of this, because we couldn't just run it that night. Everybody had to meet multiple times. How does this look? How does that look? What are we going to do if this happens here? What channel are we going to use? Everybody from common to any patrol officer involved. There was a lot of people hours that went into it. And then as recently as June, we did a walkthrough with public safety and the safety and security team at the 37 schools that we handle, just to make sure that the schools are safe. And I think we've come up with some nice little suggestions that were implemented, and that's why we take a team approach, because fire rescue will look at something and say, well, what about this? And I won't think about it like that. I may look at something and say, what about that? And you and fire safety wouldn't look. So having the team approach, we had a bunch of set of eyes on it, and I think the kids will be benefiting that with our efforts on that. Any questions on that part so far? All right, so that's our stats. I just wanted to kind of give you some bullet points. So we've had a lot going on this year, as you know. Every SRO completed their initial training requirement, 14 weeks of FTEP, which is the Field Training and Evaluation Program. We finished that over the summer. We have a few that are still doing it as we speak. That's over 700 contact hours of work for us. Every SRO completed their mandatory 40 hours of yearly ongoing training. Topics included firearms, proficiency in firearms, high liability topics, CPR, bloodborne pathogen training, defensive tactics, OC, baton, and physical abilities testing, and every one of them passed. Every SRO received over 16 hours of crisis intervention training. There's that other piece of the puzzle for us. And more than 40 hours of active shooter incident management or mass casualty training. We had multiple SROs and supervisors attend the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's 2024 National Summit on K-12 school safety and security on September 25th for 16 hours of training. We also attended a separate training on anonymous threats of violence at K-12 schools. 5 SROs and myself attended the FASRO, Florida Association of School Resource Officer Conference, and we were able to get some good information and also some acknowledgement that the state of Florida is leading the nation in how we handle safety and security in schools. And it's also nice to know that right here in Clay County, we are still the tip of the spear in how we address things, that we're the way we work together in partnership and the procedures that we have in place. Multiple of our deputies attended the Office Attorney General Symposium on vaping among children. We had over 10 SROs attend the Breach Point training, which is mental health and resilience, because a strong member makes for a better officer in our schools. Our members, and also they learn skills that they can help the kids with should they run into that. Our members attend additional individual training courses to include some SRO certifications, line supervision, active assailant, ICS, incident command system, and single officer response, which we talked about. Some joint initiatives with your district. In September, we collaborated on joint messaging to the students, and I appreciate the help of Terry and her team, as well as the Safety and Security Department, on how we message to students and parents on the use of Fortify Florida, and then the video that you did along with the sheriff, trying to tell everybody this is what it's all about, this is how we use it. And I think that was a big concern going in, was how are we going to have one clear, consistent message, and how we're going to put it out timely, and everyone's going to do this simultaneously. And I think, for the most part, some speed bumps in the beginning, very small ones, but we really streamlined the process, and I think we have it going really well. Because actually, that's my next point. In October, we facilitated the one voice, one message idea. So that's what I just talked about. In November, we worked with the principals and the Department of School Safety to modify our off-duty scheduling for events, like after-school events, football games, things of that. We had a different policy, you had different needs. We sat down at the table and we were able to come together with agreeable amounts of security for events and how the process would look for payment and how we would provide security. And then we had no events in any football games this year. And I don't think we had any other event that we covered. In November, we did First Lady DeSantis' The Facts Your Future drug education program with 900 students at Ridgeview High School. We worked through on that one. In December, with Project Reach, discuss ways that SROs can intervene and help students who are homeless. And that was something that you all brought to the table, and our team was involved in that, and they enjoyed that. In January, we did the FBI Be Smart online safety educational program, and that was the one at Ridgeview High School. Also, we had over 100 attendants. Hopefully, we can get some more coming because everybody who attended thought they got some really significant information, and I think it's information that every parent should know. So any parent that's watching, if you have a chance, you hear of it again, please endeavor to be there. And then myself and Director Boyack, we attended the first ever Florida Symposium on School Violence and got some good information and some updates on where we're heading as a state. And then we also worked with the district safety on the Safer Watching audio enhancement program. Throughout the years, we were implementing that and making sure that we had good connection between our real-time crime and then what you guys were doing here. We did the back-to-school bash event both in June of last year and June of this year, July of this year and last year. Both events the last 2 years were outstanding, and a lot of kids and families were met with needs. So looking at some of the things that we handled through the district. In September, we worked with the district. We had a problem where kids were being arrested in other jurisdictions in their schools, and the information was not being brought over here. So you did not know that a student transferred over here from like Jacksonville was arrested and had a history. We were able to work with Department of Juvenile Justice and get you guys a quarterly report of all the supervised youth. So this gave you an idea of who was under some supervision and why, so that if there was a gap in the communication process, you knew you had. I think one school had a kid wanted for attempted murder, if I remember correctly. Fortify Florida training. Participate in student talks and training regarding the use of Fortify Florida. All 37 SROs assigned to schools participated. We partnered with Northeast Florida Fusion for analytical assessment and monitoring of at-risk youth regarding threat assessments, arrests, weapons violations, and things of that nature. So what that does is it brings us into the loop, and it puts us in with the Southeast United States law enforcement agencies that utilize a system called LINKS, which is a law enforcement information exchange. So now we have all the information about the kids. Any kid that might be on the radar, especially if they come in here, we know about them and we share that information with you so you know who your students are. When we had a problem with the school zones, because of the timing of the lights and things, which I hear now will not be a problem moving forward, we jumped at it and we utilized every resource possible to make sure deputies and marked cars were with lights on in every school zone, because the lights were not operational on those 2 occasions due to a scheduling conflict. And we made sure that that took SROs, traffic, PSAs, patrol, we had PIO people out there. Our PIO is also working with your PIOs to get the information out that, hey, there is a school zone even though the lights are not working. We also were able to fix a records concern where juvenile arrests were not being sent to school safety on a timely basis per statute. We were able to work with them and get them where you guys were getting your information about juvenile records on a daily basis, that you get a spreadsheet that comes out to you. And we were requested for a career day in February at the fairgrounds. We had all of our SOs tied up, so we sent the lieutenant and we sent a chief over there to be there for the career day that you all had at the fairgrounds, and it was a very successful event. And then June and July, summer school and summer lunch programs. We covered 20 schools every day for just over 60 days, representing over 1,600 person hours of work. We've done book readings throughout the year to students at literacy events. We assisted in multiple cases involving whether it's your staff or anything going on within the district, and work with the SAO to get a good conclusion there. And as we wrap up, some recurring boards or initiatives or collaborations that we participated in. Every month, Play Action Coalition, Tobacco Free Florida. Quarterly, we did First Coast Crime Stoppers. Monthly, Juvenile Justice, 4th Circuit Advisory Board. Monthly, 4th Circuit DJJ Educational Student Achievement Subcommittee, or basically truancy, it's a lot of words to say, a truancy group. Monthly or as needed, individual school-based, the behavioral threat assessment and management groups, and then monthly, the district ones as well. And we have our Intel unit from CCSO attends those meetings as well to make sure that if there's anything that comes along, they know what we're looking for and they know how to go out and find that information through Intel. As you look at some of the things that happened during the year, in September we had Hurricane Helene. Shelters were operational the 25th through the 27th. 7 shelters were open 3 days. For 3 days, required 784 person-hours of SRO coverage, and those coverage costs were covered from the sheriff's office, mostly through overtime because of the hours that we had to operate, and CCSO picked that up, and hopefully we'll get reimbursed for that through FEMA. In October 24, Hurricane Milton, we had no shelters, but we were assigned with storm prep, response, damage assessment, and school checks. Many works of hours have done, on policies, procedures by agency members outside our department. So just to make this happen means that a lot of other people have to help, whether it's finance, taking care of all the payroll and concerns of that nature, HR, bringing on all the personnel. We are talking about even the policies regarding training and bringing people on board. This was a complete team effort from the sheriff's office. A lot of groups worked, a lot of work went into making the sausage, you know. A lot of different people you would not know if you're not being told. We spent a lot of time on gathering information, crime analysis, and doing research to make sure that you had the most up-to-date information so you can make the best decisions possible when we bring problems to you as a district. And then also the many hours worked by our agency members outside of our department that are helping, when I say department, out of school safety. This, again, team effort. I appreciate everybody's work with us during the course of the year. A lot was accomplished, and I'm proud of, there's 54 of us, including my staff assistant, a couple of dispatchers. But I can't tell you enough about how dedicated the men and women are, including Deputy Harris right here. So,
I have one question.
Yeah, please.
When you're talking about your 9,000 hours of training,
Yes.
when you coordinate your active shooter training or whatever, I guess I want to know, is the Guardian program integrated into that training?
Great question. So historically, they had not. So actually, Director Boyack and I had conversations about how now that you're kind of at a spot where you like to be with your Guardians, that we're going to try and integrate the Guardians into our regular training. So what happens is, we have a problem logistically with that because you're talking about, I have to split my team into sections to be able to train them effectively. Otherwise, with 50 people in a room, there's one person doing something and 49 people staring at them. So what we have to do is, like right now, our North team is training at Fleming Island High School, but yesterday South did. We're trying to figure a way that we can integrate the Guardians because you have, I think, 47 of them. So how can I get 47 of them in with our group? So what we're talking about is, we've actually been troubleshooting, working with training to maybe open up the range on separate days where Supervisor Mills will go out with Director Boyack and his team, and then we'll be there too. And if we're out there, maybe we can train simultaneously. So we're trying to find ways, trying to find avenues to do that. Now, tabletop exercises and things of that nature, Guardians are always welcome to be at that kind of thing. And when we have one coming up in the near future, they will be there. I think Director Boyack's working on something of that nature. So we will be working together in that regard.
And what about drills? Like active shooter drills at schools? That's my only question really, is the coordination of all the Guardians. So like if the Cook County Sheriff's actually has a plan, and you do, it's a very good plan, and something were to happen, how do we, I guess, assimilate, how do the Guardians know what to do with you in your plan? Like, is that?
So every SRO of the school should be working with they usually have a set Guardian or two that work in that area as much as possible. Ideally, what should be happening is, and it's my understanding, the SROs and the Guardians are meeting and they understand what the protocols are. Now, I know that the school safety department is working on making sure they do the things that they have to do, being the Guardians, like put their sash on and things of that nature, so that we have no blue violence where they might think that a Guardian is a bad guy. So that should be being done daily at the level with the SRO. Am I getting a head shake, yes?
Correct.
Yes. So the idea is, so they plan, this is our chirp, this is what happens here, you'll do this, I'll do that, don't forget to do this. So that is being done on a daily basis, but I will tell you, I'm with you, I think maybe what we need to do is ensure it's being done and maybe have myself go down there, or we talk about leadership going down there and making sure that everybody is.
Because to your point, it's the same as in the military. You do the same thing, you practice over and over and over again. So it becomes natural for you under duress. If everybody's talking about it and working together under duress, then everybody will have a role to play and everybody will be successful in that role. So that's the part I was concerned about.
And rightfully so. We believe that, the body never goes where the mind's never been.
Yeah.
The body doesn't go where the mind's never been. The idea being that we have to train, like you said, it has to become a reflex.
Okay.
Because under stress, you resort to what you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, were there any questions about anything, Paul?
Two quick questions. It boggles my mind all these years we've had computers and we haven't shared info. So I'm happy to hear that we're getting better at sharing between counties within Florida. But is there ever a chance that we're going to get information from another state when a student moves in? And secondly, of course, we've all commented about our issues with vaping. How can you help us with what's going on in our schools so we can get better at controlling the
So
vaping?
every time let's start with the vaping question, because the first one, in terms of stuff coming from the state, we get what we get, and I don't know, when we don't get something, I don't know it exists, so I don't know what I don't know in that regard. But the state does share information, it goes through our Intel, and then Intel is working with us constantly. We meet with them at our regular meetings, our Claystar meetings, that we meet with them daily on a huddle. So and plus he's in the building, so he walks right over and talks to us, so that's not like we don't get the information, but in terms of, I don't know which state organization you're referring to, like FDLE or something like that, or
I think she means other states.
other
Yeah,
states.
other
Oh,
states.
excuse me, I thought you meant the East state.
No.
So, I don't know. Basically, any information that goes through our Intel groups is passed on to us, like the Northeast Florida Fusion Center, things of that nature. Did you have something, Director Blair?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in. So we worked very well together this year in regards to working with the DJJ and getting a list every month that comes in that lets us know who students are on supervision, and then we both cross-check that list to make sure that, any student who's on supervision, we know why they're on supervision, and we know, are they in the correct educational setting, and those sorts of things. So we are able to look and do those sorts of things. Where the little bit of a blind spot is students coming from out of state who haven't been arrested for those kind of things, those threat assessments. As Director Galemi said, the state of Florida really leads the world when it comes to how we handle threat assessments and how we share information in state. And certain states outside of Florida will be on board and do similar things, but there are certain areas that they just will not pass us information on to that, and that's where Director Galemi says, we don't know what we don't know at that point.
Boggles my mind.
And you know what, I think we're doing better than ever on relaying information.
Yeah.
Interstate, intrastate, we are getting information. It's just, there might not be something that's relevant, but I think the stuff that we've done with DJJ and the stuff with the students that we have in hand, I think we know more than we did before. And I refreshed my memory in the second half of your question, I'm sorry.
Oh, it was on vaping.
So the vaping, so we've handled quite a lot of our delinquency citations were about vaping. So we've seen a rise in THC-infused vapes. That seems to be really like the modern trend, which I'm very surprised about. So in short of going into people's lockers or into their cars or into younger kids going into their book bags, there's not much more we can do. You can see by our drug numbers that we have seized quite a bit of narcotics in your schools. And on the vapes, I can't remember the number, and I can actually pull a separate number on vapes, and I can email you guys on the board what the number was. But just in conversations with my team, my management team, I see a lot about vaping that we're doing every time it's brought to our attention. But as you know, they're pretty good at hiding and passing it on. And by the time this student has it, they give it to that student. And by the time we talk to that student, they've already given it to that student or thrown it in the garbage or hid it behind a bush. So it's a difficult task. I think the best thing we do is keep educating them. Hopefully, maybe the trend switches back. But as of right now, we're doing everything we can to get the vapes, out of their hands, and then we turn everything into evidence. We charge them appropriately, and we work with the assistant state attorney who handles the juveniles, and he takes it very seriously. Hector.
Thank you.
Before we go to budget, I just want to, for the district's standpoint, and then this is my question to you guys and to us, I guess. As far as vaping and education, I know Tobacco Free Clay had talked about additional education and some things that we can do with our students So I don't know if we as a board want to look at that and see what they have to offer. I know I spoke to Mr. Broski about this. And then is there, do you guys, I know, and maybe they don't take it as serious as like the cell phone thing and the trafficking and all that, but is there some kind of education that can be provided on the, like, a night that we do what we did last year as far as like teaming up with doing our education on our cell phones and the trafficking and stuff? Is there something that you guys can do as far as the vaping aspect? Because I feel like there are so many parents that have no idea how big of an issue this is, and then their 8th grader comes home with a vape, and the 8th grader doesn't even know that there's THC in it, and now he's vaping and smoking it. And I mean, this happens literally all the time. I have so many conversations about that, that they're getting them from their friends, not even knowing that that stuff's in there. And then the parents are like, my kid would never do that, you know, thinking because they don't have access to it. But I guess it's the fact that it's lack of education all the way around, parents and students, I feel like.
Well, I think Clay Action Coalition could help us in that regard too, because they are working on a lot of programs. I can reach out to Stephanie Gohagan and see what they might have, education, and if we can find something, I think the directors would speak to. When we have the opportunity to meet with the parents, we are up for any kind of education that we can give, provide, and help grow the community. So I'll look at my end and see what we can find resource-wise, and then we can partner with Director Boyack. Did you?
Yeah, so the cell phone safety event was a pretty big success that we did as a joint group when it comes to this sort of stuff, and kind of we had planned to reiterate that type of an event again with honestly just our two organizations so that we could live stream it because we did know that there was a lot of desire for that information, but there wasn't necessarily the ability to get there. So we were going to go down that route, and then kind of the plan for this year is to have another one of those events, but also have one in regards to kind of a drug-related focus as well, as far as, like you said, did you know that, this sort of stuff, and then have kind of Director Galemi and his team incorporate other aspects of the sheriff's office that kind of sees what's out there on a daily basis, and we kind of coordinate something that's, what we're seeing in our schools so that parents can be aware of what to look for, what questions to ask, where to find drug tests that they can use if they suspect use it, those sorts of things. So just, we're kind of in the early stages of that type of event, but you can't expect to see that event in 25, 26.
Okay, good, because they're lacing these, terminals keep getting smarter and smarter, and these parents have no idea that half of these vapes don't even look like vapes anymore.
Right.
They're very hidden, and they're becoming more creative.
And I have no problem putting together an intel board where we can find some data on the new stuff, and we can send that out, you can distribute to parents through your resources. We will look into it and see what we can do. I think there's, maybe what we could do in our part of that is, on top of everything else, when we do have that meeting, is bring in the state attorney and talk about the legal ramifications. Especially, there's also the health concerns, like you're right. They think they have a regular, quote unquote, regular vape, but it's THC infused. We don't know what's gonna happen when they do it. So there's a lot of room to work with. We'll be available for you, whatever you wanna do.
And honestly, Mr. Broski, I know I talked to you throughout the year about having these, these serious discussions with students when it comes to them understanding the student code of conduct when it comes to weapons. I honestly believe, as a district, if we just set a very high expectation for kids, right, about the seriousness of something, I've heard from dozens and dozens of students, parents, and teachers. A lot of this is happening in unmonitored, like bathrooms during class changes, sometimes unmonitored time prior to school. I can tell you, I know of at least 10 kids who don't ever use a bathroom because they're afraid of the vaping that's occurring inside. So along with the Clay County Sheriff's Office, I just really think I'm always going to go to the expectation, right? The seriousness of the expectation, and when someone is found with it, the education is a piece of it, but I think it's also being very, very serious about it. There are districts that have an admin in every bathroom, not on schedule, right? But in every bathroom between every single change. Maybe it's not that particular bathroom every day, but the kids know there's going to be an admin in there. So just, maybe that's something we can coordinate with sheriffs, but I am telling you that kids rise to the occasion when you're very serious, and they know you're serious about the expectation. And so I think it's a twofold. I think we need to become very serious about a problem that we know is no good for our student population, and we need the help of the sheriff, so getting that information out maybe to parents, but that's just my 2 cents after talking to a lot of people about the vaping. I mean, I have a good friend who is very, very good at classroom management, found a kid vaping in class. She couldn't even smell it. I mean, it is a serious problem, and I think it's gonna have to be a twofold solution, so.
And like I said, Tobacco Free Clay said they have additional education that we can, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it's something that like we can put together and send it out like on our app, or on our app and stuff. I don't know what it would look like, but I do know that they have offered services, and I had spoke to Monique personally. So maybe something we can look into, whether we do it once a year, beginning of the year kind of thing. But I think it's that people are not being fully educated on the repercussions of this. And then, like I said, in other counties, they're lacing this stuff. I mean, they're having to Narcan kids and send them to the hospital and stuff. And I don't want Clay County to get there, because then at what point is it an emergency, right? Like, at what point are we taking this serious? And I'm not saying nobody's not taking it serious. I'm just saying that I just don't think people fully know. When you go talk to the principals, they'll straight up tell you it's a massive problem here in Clay. So, and when you have kids coming up to you saying that they either lock the door to go to the bathroom or they just hold it till they get home. I mean, and then they say, Miss Aaron, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, how can you help me fix this? Because these are good, genuine kids, right? They don't want to get in trouble. So, anyways, that's just my concern and because we have to also be there for the kids that are doing right, you know, that we don't even know the health repercussions of sitting next to somebody who's vaping yet, right? We don't have all those studies yet. So anyways, that was just my 2 cents, and I think that education with our parents is going to be important too. So. But thank you for all you guys have done. It's a lot, and our students, our parents, and community see this. So thank you.
Any other questions? I turn over to CFO, Vicki. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good morning. So to support all the activities you heard about, obviously there was funding supporting that. I've handed out a brief kind of recap summary of the last fiscal year. This is similar format to what you've seen on a quarterly basis. Basically, for last fiscal year, which ended June 30th.
Sorry.
That was my cell phone, I think.
Sorry, so I can't understand.
The fiscal year ended on June 30th, so from our perspective in the budget finance world, we're already into the new year, but I wanted to recap for you how we progressed last year. Of the funding that we received of the budget that was approved, we keep track of all the actual expenses. You'll recall that we have a separate fund, a separate bank account, everything to make sure we keep this all totally separate in the financial world. And we're pleased to report that we are reverting or turning back to you all $769,554.76. I provided this recap to Dawn and Bryce last Friday. We've already submitted our portion to the comptroller's office. As you're aware, your funding on a monthly basis goes through the comptroller to the CCSO, and so the reversion goes back that way. Friday, we cut our portion of the check, and then Dawn and David Cottle, who works in the comptroller's office, will coordinate with Dawn to get this, hopefully sometime this week, into your bank account. Just as a quick reminder, we are on the county's benefits. So you'll see at the bottom there that recap, the CCSO reversion, but you'll also see BCC benefit reversion. That's because we're on their benefit plan, and so they retain those dollars to pay our providers, and so that difference is part of their check. So they will combine that for the total of $769,000, and that will go back to the school district sometime this week. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, we're always available if you do, and appreciate having the opportunity to discuss this with you.
Thank you.
If I could, just for a second, let me just thank the Sheriff's Office for their work in the school. The partnership's been great along the time. We really appreciate all the hard work that you guys do along with our team. I know Director Boyack has spoke glowingly about the daily communication. You know, anytime you have 40,000 students going to school, I did a little math because people know I'm famous for math, right? Which is 40,000 students, 180 days. When you do the math there, that's 7.2 million times that students are going to school. It's unreasonable to think that things aren't going to happen with 7.2 million opportunities for it to happen, but it's nice to know there's a great partnership to deal with it when it does happen, which is that. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You guys are more than welcome to stay, or you can,
We would love to stay for the rest of the meeting, I'm sure.
if you have things to do, we're not judging you, you can leave. But you're also welcome to stay, so I just know you guys are busy as well.
Thank you.
Next up is our self-funded insurance presentation.
Hannah, you are up, you can unmute.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I have some examples to share.
Hang on, Hannah. Hannah, hold on. Do you have a volume for that?
I'm going to take myself on video and I'm going to share my screen.
Hannah, can you try talking again?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Try one more time.
Test.
They can hear you. I'm not sure if there's an echo, though.
I do not hear an echo on my end. What about now? Is there an echo on your end now? So I can tell that.
No, Hannah, can you hold on for a second? I think it's because you need to connect through the phone also so that everybody can hear you through that speaker, and then I'm going to mute the other. Hold on for a second, let me try to call.
Yeah, so just type it in there.
You can call her on the phone and have her come through that.
That's where we're gonna, yes.
Technology, serious. Grass cut down there. Bonnie, can you look at your calendar item? I'm having trouble connecting. And give me the phone number to connect. It's okay. If you scroll down, there should be a phone number as well.
Write it down so it doesn't get televised.
All right. Do you see it?
Welcome to Google Meet. Enter the meeting pin followed. Thank you. You're joining a call with 3 other people.
Hannah,
Yes.
you're on.
Okay, great. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
Screen, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. I will go ahead and get started. I just have a few slides to share with everyone today. And this is taking us back to when we went through the RFP for the district's medical insurance. And we were considering moving to a different vendor. One of the key components of that RFP and choosing the best vendor for the district was a surrounding network discount and just what the cost of services would be with a different vendor compared to another. So I'm going to have an overview of that, and then I'm going to show some real life examples of how that plays out and where we'll see savings. So I'm going to go ahead and change the screen. Tell me if you can see that change, so that it looks a little wonky on my side.
We can see it.
Okay. Okay, great. Alrighty, so again, you're going to see a comparison for all of these slides comparing Florida Blue, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida. I know that a lot of people kind of see it as Blue Cross Blue Shield, Florida Blue. It is the same, so Florida Blue versus United Healthcare and their network discounts. So network discounts are where insurance carriers negotiate, they have different negotiated contracted rates with hospitals, doctors, other providers in their network. So when they have or they do have different contracts with different providers compared to the under vendor. These rates are lower than the original build charges. So each carrier has their own network, they negotiate a different discount. So the same service may cost less with one carrier than another. So for these examples, we have used the average network discount to estimate the amount after the discount. I do want to say that applying the average network discount is also how we price the claims. I know that is an amount that, has talked about a lot and rightfully so, is the $3 million in savings with moving from United Healthcare to Florida Blue. And so how we came to that number was we took all of the claims that Clay County District Schools had in the 2024 calendar year, and we repriced them under the average network discount with Florida Blue. So we looked at all of the claims and we said, okay, if the district would have Florida Blue during the 2024 calendar year and went to the same,
Chris? No, Hannah, go ahead.
Okay. So we repriced those claims. We said if the district would have been with Florida Blue during the 2024 calendar year and they had this average network discount, what would the cost of services been? And so when we repriced those claims, there was over $3 million in savings here. And so that was a look back, and now we're looking forward, come 10/1/2025. Going to the same providers that you're going to now, as long as they're in network, they will likely have better network discount. Again, we are applying an average of 72.2%. Some contracts may be even stronger, or they give even greater discount. So I do want to say that we do get even more savings with Florida Blue. So on the screen here, I'm just going to lay this out really quickly, then I'll jump into some of the examples. So on this slide to the far left, you can see the type of service. So I'm going to show an example for a specialist visit, an ER visit, maternity care, and a cardiac device procedure. You can see the cost before the network discount. So this column to the left of the middle, this is going to be the cost of the service, at least for these examples, without any insurance, without any kind of contract with a carrier applied. So specialist visit, $200 before the insurance, and then if we look at United Healthcare, when we apply their average network discount, if you have United Healthcare, you go to the CVIS example specialist, and $96 is the cost. But then Florida Blue has a greater network discount with this provider, so the cost is $83 if you have Florida Blue, or at least a specific Florida Blue contracted insurance. And you can kind of see on down the line the difference here for these four examples. And what that difference could look like with at least applying that average network discount. Total combined savings under Florida Blue, just for these four examples above, is over $40,000. Before I go into the examples, can I answer any questions about how this is going to be calculated? All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so I have five examples total, I believe, to show. I have a few for an HMO plan or high deductible health plan that is more with co-insurance, and then I have a few examples with the PPO where associated are applied. You can see exactly where the savings are, both for the employee and for the district. So in this example on the screen, I'm showing a specialist visit. United Healthcare is going to be here on the left, Florida Blue is going to be here on the right. You can see the cost before the network discount or before, any insurance is applied is $300 by this provider. The cost after the network discount is $96 with United Healthcare, $83 with Florida Blue. And then if we continue to go down this example with United Healthcare, the employee in this situation was paid $19 at the visit, and the district would pay $77 if this was under the United Healthcare contract. When we go over to the Florida Blue side, the employee will pay $17 and the district will pay $66. In this situation, we are applying one of the district's medical plans or their 100% co-insurance. Of course, with the HMO plans, there are deductibles. I'm not factoring those in for these examples because I really just wanted to show you down to the bottom line where the savings will show for both the employee and the district. So the total savings for this one claim would be $13. And so over time, that this, along with all the other types of claims, big and small, will add up to a great deal of savings for the district. Any questions about this first example or how I've laid this out? Great, I'm going to move on to another one. This is going to be a plan that's a little bit more expensive, going to the emergency room. Again, it's laid out the same way. On the left-hand side, we have United Healthcare. On the right-hand side, we have Florida Blue. The cost before the network discount is $4,000. And then you see the difference between United Healthcare, $1,276 with their contracted rate, and then $1,112 with Florida Blue's contracted rate. So this plays out again with the HMO, HSP plan, 20% co-insurance. We see that the employee would pay $255. The district would pay a little over $1,000 with United Healthcare, and then with Florida Blue, the employee would pay $222, and the district would pay $890. So the total savings under Florida Blue of $154 for this visit. I have one more example under a co-insurance structured plan. This is, of course, a really large claim, right? Inpatient cardiac event, where the cost before any insurance is applied is $1 million. With United Healthcare, $319,000 is their contracted rate. Florida Blue, again, just kind of visualizing this, they have a stronger contract with the specific hospital where if someone were to, do this thing, kind of surgery, any kind of service that needs to happen at this hospital under Florida Blue, they would do it at a lower cost, $278,000 for the same exact service, same exact hospital. how this plays out with the employee. With United Healthcare, $63,000. District, $255,000. Florida Blue employee, $55,000. District, $222,000. Now, I do want to mention that for this example specifically, of course, these amounts are huge. And there are, stopgaps in place where no one is going to pay this amount. The employee specifically would not because they have an out-of-pocket maximum, right? So on all of the plans, there is an out-of-pocket maximum, and once an employee meets that, they don't pay anything over that amount. And then for the district, of course, we have stop-loss insurance, where if one member meets a certain threshold, the district does not pay anymore for that member. And just to show you visually on this HSC plan, again, the employee pays $63,000. I'm just calculating the insurance here. Technically, there is a $6,650 individual out-of-pocket maximum, so they wouldn't pay over that $6,600 amount. I'm going to move on to PPO plan examples. So with the PPO plan, you have a lot of co-pays, not for all of the different benefits, but for a lot of the, things that people do regularly, going to see their provider, or their specialist, urgent care, things like that. There's a co-pay in place. So the employee pays that co-pay, and then the district picks up the rest of the amount. So we're looking at the same specialist visit that we looked at first in the HMO plan, with a cost before insurance was $300. With United Healthcare, their contracted rate with this specific specialist is $96. With Florida Blue, it is $83. The employee is going to pay that flat copay no matter what. So the employee will pay that $40 copay. They won't have to worry about co-insurance, just see that specialist, and it's over. On the other side of that was the remaining amount the district pays. So under United Healthcare, the district would pay $56. Under Florida Blue, the district would pay $43. Still the same amount of total savings under Florida Blue at $13 for this one office visit. And then again, looking at the same emergency room example, where we have the cost before the network discount or before the insurance, and then the cost after. Again, you can see that the employee has this $500 copay to go to the emergency room, and the district picks up the remaining amount of that contracted rate. So you can see that the district pays, almost $800 under United Healthcare's contract with this emergency room, or just a little over $600 with Florida Blue's contract with this emergency room. So again, over time, as claims are processed under the Florida Blue contract with all the various providers, hospitals, the cost is going to be less, and it will build into where, there will be a lot of savings to the district over time. Again, the $3 million came from repricing the 2024 claims. And now that the new contract is beginning 10/1, we'll start to actually see that savings build over time. Again, it could end up being roughly $3 million. It could be a lot more, because we're not sure how the claims are going to be. Of course, we know the claims won't be exactly as they were in 2024, but we monitor that every month and meet internally with the district to go over all of their claims. So those are all the examples that I have. What kind of questions do you have for me that I can answer?
I was just wondering,
Well, Hannah, do you have, and maybe the district may have this, do you have like a chart that shows, what each cost per month for like what the insurance would cost? I know we talked about this last time and we didn't have a slide for that necessarily, but if you go and sign up for insurance, what it would cost for each plan, do we have that?
It's in the benefits guide.
Okay.
Yes, I do have that. I do have that. So I'm not sure if you want me to share on the screen where I can take a breakout of employee versus district and the total for cost for the plan.
If you have it, can you just throw it up? Because there's been questions about, some employees, and I did say that they could go online when they go to sign up for things, but open enrollment, I guess this question would be irrelevant now that open enrollment is up. But I just wanted to see that each plan, because there are some people who are.
I mean, things are still subject to bargaining, but
Right.
we stuck with the plan totals that, the premiums that we had last year.
Okay.
She's gonna, I think she has one more slide on this specific topic, and then she said that she could pull up the plan details.
Okay, that's fine.
Can we get, you know, she did the breakdown for like the specialist?
Mhm.
Can we get that same breakdown for, their primary care, the regular visit?
So what they do in the visit is what's dictating the price. So if they have a physical, it might be one price.
I'm just
If
talking
they
about if
have,
you like had a cold, or if you had a sinus infection, just a regular like,
It would depend on what
Or
kind of
if-
testing you have to have done. There's really not a standard price
Yeah.
for that. I know Aaron would know too, working in healthcare, different lab studies, different.
I understand that.
But your physical, your yearly is supposed to be free.
Right.
it's
All
free
of
to
that
the
is free.
employee,
Right,
but the district is still paying.
right, right,
So
okay.
some of the savings are on the district side and some are gonna be felt and seen on the employee side.
Right, I understand that. I'm just, there's a lot of employees that are filling it in their pocketbook, so they're wanting to know, hey, what is my discounts with this? Am I gonna see a different, which she showed here, which is great. I was just trying to see also for monthly.
Hannah, can you go to the next slide?
Because they're having to go out to the marketplace to get insurance instead of using our insurance. So that's what I'm trying to.
Yep. Chris, would you like me to pull up the premium share and that differential between employee district and the total premium? Or do you want me to, move on to the next slide that more talks about the funding?
No, that's what the agents. This doesn't match what she says. This is because this is.
Hold on one moment, Hannah.
That's okay, take your time.
Okay, take your time.
$40 is what we pay for this plan, $49 for this plan, $49. Because you were special. Okay, Hannah, can you go back to the specialist with the $40 copay?
Sure.
Ms. Hanson was pointing out that in the guide, it shows that the specialist is showing as $75 or $65 with the choice.
So, we did choose examples. I can go back and look and see which plan we're looking at. For one of the plans, it is a $40 copay.
For specialist,
That's what it said on the slide. Yeah.
Just one moment.
So my question is, if we have these savings, when we renegotiate, we could have 3.4 million of savings, we could have more savings,
you could have less.
or, or less, more or less, or the same, whatever. That's on the end of, like, the calculating end of what happens after each visit. But if in fact there is that savings, some of those savings should be reflected also in their co-pays from last year, correct?
If you choose the plan that has a set copay, you're not gonna feel it the same way. If you choose a plan that has a percentage copay, you're going to feel it every time. And to her point too, with the big visit where the employee wasn't only gonna pay $6,650, if you go to, Hannah, will you go to that slide for a second?
No, I actually have a really good grasp of.
So if they're only gonna pay, we are going to pay that other 50,000 plus.
Well, it's also if they reach their deductible, and their deductible is 3,000 for an individual, it will stop there as well. So
Right.
I have a really good understanding of that. What I'm looking at is specifically in the conversation that we had it was the caveat for me voting for this particular program, was that this is exactly what was said, and you can go watch it, the trickle-down effect and the copay. And so what I'm looking at is everything in here is exactly the same as last year, so I'm trying to figure out in my mind, because I have both of the plans side by side.
Hannah, will you pull up a percentage one?
Or, yeah, I'm happy to talk through, and, you know, it looks like we did use a $40, example for a specialist visit, but you can look at this the same way for a primary care visit if you want to, because one of the primary care copays is $40. Ms. Hanson, one way that I'm really, you know, I can definitely speak to is how this savings would trickle down to the employees, not only in the claim, but with the premium. So whenever we had our actuaries model out what the funding, but what the suggested funding increase should be, we looked at what the increase would be with United Healthcare versus Florida Blue. And if the district were to have stayed with United Healthcare, looking at all the growing costs of insurance, the actuaries suggested a significant increase to premiums or the funding rate. And so that would have potentially shown for employees that took on any of that increase, or the district took on any of that increase. And then with Florida Blue, the actuaries did not suggest as high of an increase for the premium. And so that's another way where, you know, we are going to have savings both for the employee and the district in the premium. And I'm sorry, Chris, I'm sorry, which side you'd like me to go back to?
Go back to the one that's slightly smaller than this million one, but is a percentage of a copay.
Here we go.
Okay.
So it's copay, or, so this is a co-insurance example.
Yes, that's the one. So the employee in this visit is saving $30 every time they go to an emergency room, for example. The district is saving about $200 based on the way that it is. Now, once the employee, and we do have a lot of employees that go to the ER as if it's their primary care, by the way, we really do. Once the employee meets their deductible, then they're paying nothing and the district is paying the rest of it.
That might be an education piece, by the way, just throw that out there.
We talk about it in the insurance meetings all the time about getting them to go, not to go to the ER, but going to like even Care Spot or one of the other kind of urgent care clinics. Unfortunately, a lot of your ER rooms now are popping up as individual facilities, and there is a miscomprehension that ER is an urgent care facility instead.
They also have a graphic that says what's an emergency and what's urgent, just coming from an ER nurse standpoint.
Yeah. I know.
That might be something we should push out though, if it's gonna save us overall,
It will save us a lot of money.
if we're not using emergency rooms, so.
Well, I think every health insurance has an insurance card that comes with a, primary care provider that you're supposed to call and make it your primary care.
Well, I know sometimes primary care physicians, it's hard to get an appointment without having to take time off from work, right? So a lot of people use Care Spot or emergency room because they don't want to take time off. But the education piece could be, hey, as Clay County District Schools, here's a list of all of the after-hours care spots that you could access as opposed to going to a local emergency room.
And then they have sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, it may just be something that we include, in their insurance information or.
We can also send out a targeted message to all of the employees.
Yeah.
With the graphic that says, hey, what's an emergency? Because some people don't realize, hey, okay, if I need an x-ray, I can still go to urgent care. Or, hey, if I have a UTI, I can go to urgent care. I don't need to go to the ER.
Yeah.
They have it.
And there's virtual visits too, so.
Yeah, it really does take, just continual education. This is something, of course, that we lay out in the benefit guide, but we also speak about at any meeting that we have. There's actually a virtual open enrollment meeting, an educational session that employees can join later today at noon. And I definitely always do where to go for care, what's appropriate. If you have an eye infection, a lot of times you can do a virtual visit and the doctor can prescribe the eye drops that you need. And trust me, I have done that many times with my children. So, it really is giving the examples, educating people over and over again. Of course, you're not going to reach everyone. Everyone is going to be as engaged with our healthcare as some others may be. But just doing all that you can to, go through all the different options, for those that are willing to listen, try to lower the cost of care.
Could this be something that maybe we offer at some of our professional developments at our schools? Do we have staff that would be able to go to present?
Like, during open enrollment or after open enrollment?
Just periodically to educate our workforce on how to
absolutely.
effectively use your healthcare.
Absolutely.
Because I think we've discussed, we've got problems with utilizing ER too much, but we also have issues with employees not going to the dentist. We know
We do.
what issues come from that, so.
And that's another, that has nothing to do with this, but our low dental cost plan, we had a lot of complaints, for example, about people not being able to find a dentist in network, so we changed that low cost plan to, it costs maybe $2 more for an example, but there's dentists everywhere within Clay County now, so.
Yeah, I think the education piece is important, especially since we've changed providers and, some of they may not realize how, depending on which way you utilize healthcare, you may not realize a cost savings if you're not utilizing it correctly, so.
Absolutely. Hannah, do you want to jump to that other slide that gave the totals?
Sure, yeah, so I'm going to see if I can drag this over. I'm going to stop presenting for a minute. And then, Chris, are you to the cost of premiums, where we see the total premiums for the employee and the district range?
No, didn't you have the side-by-side of, I think it's your second to the last slide on this, and then you can jump to the premiums before your final.
So I have the savings, I have the example savings, and then totaling, I totaled each example here at the bottom, so it's under Florida Blue again for this example, $164. But if I'm totaling,
That's the slide, yeah.
So this is just for these four, I want to say, of course, under this cardiac device procedure, technically there will be lane claims. If you look at this as four separate, visits, four separate claims, just for these four claims, a lower cost claim versus a really higher cost claim, just four events, savings of over $40,000, and of course there are thousands and thousands of claims, for a district your size, with both your employees and all of the dependents, that really do add up over time.
So where do you find like the 80, the copay for Florida Blue, $83 for a specialist visit? On the website.
I think that's a specific example based on a specific physician. So one physician's office, the price may be X, and another it may be, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't think you're gonna see that standard. I think you would see a percentage maybe, or if you have a consistent copay of $40.
I mean, the copays we have for that choice is $75 for a specialist, and Choice Plus is $60 for a specialist. So I guess I'm just up a little bit.
Hannah, go ahead.
If it's $40 for the example, I could definitely apply a $60 copay and tweak that a little bit just to show.
So 40 is an example, that's not the real number.
Right.
So I think part of the problem,
Insurance, that is a real example on those, two plans that I've shown. The only difference, I believe, from what the district currently has is we use a, $60 copay instead of a $40 copay. So I'm happy to change that for you if that would be helpful.
Hannah, I think the confusion is surrounding the fact that, excuse me, that hard dollar amount will not be the same for every employee at every doctor's office. Does that make sense? I think the expectation on the employee side was that, or, you know, what Ms. Hanson's communicating, was that our employees expected, no matter where they went, this is how much I'm gonna pay this exact dollar amount.
well, that's how my plan works. A specialist is, you know, so much money and, I mean, that's, it doesn't fluctuate whether I go to a heart specialist or a knee specialist, it's just a specialist. So I just think we really need to do better.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that I think we need to, like that right there, the $40 is just an example, but it's up there as the example, right? I think that we need to do better at explaining exactly what it is our employees are going to pay or not pay. So let me tell you about the phone calls I've had in the last couple of weeks. Most of our teachers are paying a bit more for their health care, right? But what they remember is if you direct them back to our conversation as to why we switched to Florida Blue, is that there was this, now I want you to picture you're the employee, you don't know all this stuff, right? A presentation that included a $3.4 million trickle down, right? And then you go in and you see the exact same thing as last year, not a penny cheaper. And it shouldn't be a variance on whether or not I go to a different kind of doctor or this kind of doctor, because I can tell you in my healthcare plan, I don't have any of these type questions that people are asking me. I can literally look and see how much I'm going to pay when I go to the doctor, right? That copay is a copay. It's not a variable copay, it's just a copay. And so I think as a district, we need to do a lot better at explaining from the employee perspective. Because what we just saw compared to what the employee is looking at is drastically different. And so I'm not saying what we did was wrong, I'm saying the way we're communicating needs to be tweaked from this day forward so that our employees, when they go in and they're a single mom with 2 kids and they see $633 a paycheck, have a better understanding of what that is, because what people see is what we present. We presented $40, we presented $3.4 million of the savings, and I can see how we are going to get around that savings amount, but we need to do a better job. And I do believe, to add to Ms. Gilhausen's point, that very clear education as to what the policies do when we're self-insured is a very confusing topic anyway, will be a key, whether it's an infographic we develop. We do need to do something to educate our employees as to exactly what this self-insured program is through Florida Blue. So that's part of the problem.
This doesn't take effect until October 1st, right? So we haven't even used this yet. We haven't even seen the repercussions of any of
No, I know
this.
we haven't, but it's just what it says is what people think, right?
Yeah, can you bring up the premiums, and with the percentages?
I will, I will. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. I will definitely pull up the premiums. I do want to say, Ms. Hanson and Kevin in the room, we are not presenting the examples of, district savings to the employees. This is something that's more meant for, of course, everyone, public, everyone can see. These are examples that were put together just for the board to understand how the savings will play out for the employee and the district, depending on what type of plan you're on, whether you're on a particular type of plan or an HMO type of plan. And surrounding education, with the various open enrollment meetings that we have, vendor days, we definitely are explaining it for an employee's point of view. and how the different plans work. And one other thing that I would say is that, you know, if someone is on the Choice Plus plan, for example, and they have a, $500 copay for the emergency room, you know, and we move from United Healthcare to Florida Blue, and that $500 copay still stays, one way that the employee would see savings would be that, you know, the district, or at least right now, the district keeps premiums the same instead of increasing. So if the district would have voted to continue with United Healthcare, then our actuary suggested a much higher increase of premium, which would be, you know, an immediate difference in the employee's paycheck. And so that is a big way where employees are seeing a savings, or at least not an increase to their premium by moving to the Florida Blue contract. So if someone's on, if someone's looking at a specific service on a PPO plan where there's a copay, of course, and that copay is not going to change, because premiums could have been higher with a different vendor. And I'll flip the premiums now.
So everything is based on future savings.
Not everything, because it's sort of like, and I can't say that it's an immediate savings, but the upfront savings is we didn't have to do an increase.
So
That's 6%.
If you're not saving money that you didn't spend last year, you're saving money
Correct.
you would have spent, so it
Yes.
is future
Future
savings.
savings.
Yes. And I
And that would've
wonder,
been-
Ms. Hanson, if the employees that you've spoken with, to Ms. Skipper's point, if they were expecting to see a change now, but the new premiums don't take effect until
Right,
October.
October 1st.
That might be,
Well, it's all the same for them anyway, it didn't go up, didn't go down, it's just all the same, so, for them. I understand what we're talking about,
Is this from your
by the way.
12-page presentation from that last board meeting? Is this from that same presentation?
So what I'm showing on my screen right now, if you all can see that, I'm showing the premium difference. And this is, you know, what the rates are currently and what they're set to be coming in 2025, no increase. Again, if the district would have voted to stay with United Healthcare, then there would have been an increase to these premiums, to the total premium. So these are a lot of numbers on the screen, I'm just kind of laying out how this is organized. So to the far right, under the orange bar, this is the total premium, and you can see it broken out versus each paycheck total deduction. Again, this is the total premium, the monthly total, annual total. And then at the district, you can see what they contribute per paycheck on a monthly basis and on an annual basis. And then lastly, the employee to the left, what is coming out of their paycheck every month, what they're paying total monthly, and then annually what they're paying. So just for example, if we look at this first line, someone who's under the choice plan, and on the employee-only tier, this person would pay $81.30 out of each paycheck. The district pays $437.03 every time there's a pay period, for this member to be on the insurance. And then, you know, going down to another example, employees do have the option to choose the choice HST plan, where if someone's on the employee-only tier, they do not have to pay for the cost of having access to that insurance. And then every paycheck for district pays $426.91 for the employee to cover that whole premium for them. And then you go down, you know, and see different examples depending on which plan that they're on and which tier. Employee only, if they have a spouse, the ES is for employee spouse, employee plus children, or family tier. So you can see the difference in what the employee pays, again, on a paycheck basis, what the district pays on that basis. Of course, there's 20 deductions a year, on a monthly basis, and then annually, and you can see that split. And again, if, I will say, if I'm thinking back to last year, our actuary suggested that there be a 6%, a 6.2% increase to premium. So we did increase the premiums, but we only put that increase on the district, and the employee rate stayed the same. So again, this year, Q1, if the district would have voted to stay with United Healthcare, then our actuaries were suggesting, I believe it was an 8% increase to premium. So, and we're not sure, of course, where that 8% increase would apply, if the district would have absorbed it again, or could any of the increase on the employees.
How many years, Hannah, has the rates remained the same?
It's been 6 years that the rates have stayed the same for employees. I believe in there was 1 year before, I believe the seventh year, although there were some changes to the premium, it wasn't necessarily a large increase in premium. Some of the plans, maybe went up a couple of dollars, some may have went down a couple of dollars. We shifted some of the premium employee versus district to really incentivize people to move to the choice HSP plan. Where that change was made, where employees would go into the silver plan at no cost. The district wanted to offer a no cost option. But overall, there has not been a big increase to employees in a really long time, certainly since we've been the broker.
So just to be clear, over the last 6 years, any increase to medical costs, the increase in premium was picked up by the district and not the employees for the last 6 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many other organizations that you represent have done that? Now I'm really putting you on the spot. I'm just curious.
Not one. We actually have one. We have one client, and it's a private company where they cover the cost of premiums, and they're absolutely unheard of. I will say for a lot of the other school districts, a lot of our other clients, whether they're public or private, usually, if you're self-funded, they increase the premiums at least a little bit every year. But then, again, our actuaries look at all the different factors every year to determine, how much money do you need to have to fund the plan properly. They look at claims, they look at how much premiums coming in from the employee and from the district or from the employer to make sure that you are able to pay those claims. And so to answer your question, to break your property, it is really, really unheard of. Even sometimes if our actuaries suggest that there is no increase, employers still will raise the premium by 1 or 2%, just because the cost of medical insurance is always increasing. And so just to be on the safe side, they want to make sure that they're able to fund their plan no matter what happens.
So just to clarify, for the sake of everyone here, I would say this: one, I'm proud of that fact. I'm not trying to say anything like I'm not proud of it. I'm proud of that fact. But in the cost of doing business as an organization to the board, sometimes those things just kind of happen, and nobody recognizes it happens, right? Because it stayed the same versus going up again, and people just don't realize the savings that they've had over time. 6 years without a rate increase. You guys have done your part when it comes to healthcare insurance.
I don't think it's that people don't realize, because I realize all that part. And when I'm actually talking out loud, it's because I'm trying to make the information that we understand more readily available for people who do not have the same background knowledge as we have. So it is great that it has stayed there for 6 years, right? I don't even think that we're at fault for teachers feeling the impact of $500 a paycheck. The problem's always going to come back to is teachers don't make a lot of money, so $500 a paycheck is a lot of money. So it's not really anything to do with the district level stuff we talk about and the fact that it hasn't increased. It's really a very high percentage when compared to salary, right? So if I was a doctor making $200,000 a year, $500 a paycheck is nothing, right? And so I just wanted, and thank you for the explanation, Mr. Browski, because I wanted people to understand that we're doing the best we can, and I think the education piece is very viable. And I know that it was so early this year and so close to all the new information coming out, because aren't we already done with our, when's the deadline? It was already passed, right?
Open enrollment
Open enrollment.
until the 8th of the month of August.
Okay, all right. So I appreciate you bearing with me, trying to,
Yeah, I think medical insurance just in general is very confusing to people, and so anything we can do to increase the education of our employees, I think that's beneficial. But I wanted to reassure the board that financially, you're doing a very good job when it comes to your contribution, your piece of it. It's not often that insurance stays the same. You know, obviously, we want the best for our employees, we all do. But given the current climate where we're at, I just wanted to reassure the board you've done an excellent job when it comes to your contribution piece of it. That was not always true, by the way. It's really the last 6 years that you've seen this occur where perhaps we didn't contribute as good as we should have. I was in HR at that time, that's why I'm aware of that. So we've made great strides to get to the point we're at. That doesn't mean that people don't feel it, you know.
and in fairness, I did run 5 different scenarios through the marketplace, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, using teacher salary, dependents. I ran 5 scenarios, and it's just about the same as ours. So it's not like we're way more expensive, it's just expensive, so.
We've been trying to find savings for them, we've been trying, but we couldn't get any pay raises, so we felt that we had to maybe find some savings on insurance, and thinking 3.4 million was coming as savings. It is savings for a future savings, they're not seeing it, so.
Right.
It's like we gave them a big treat, but at the end, they didn't got nothing because they don't see it.
Yeah,
Because
they
it's
don't,
future
Correct.
savings.
they don't see it.
Yeah. Or the other way of looking at that is they would have been charged 6% increase if we would have stayed the course and not made the change.
So I guess we're gonna have to explain better to them.
Yeah.
That's the message. Better
And they have
message
more
so they understand
providers.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
It could be a lot worse.
and additional hospitals that they.
And we did have 2 vendor days where we broadcast to have people come, and we had a lot of people come and talk to the vendors, Florida Blue, UHC for the dental. We had Aflac there, and we had all of the vendors come. If you guys feel like we need to have 1 or 2 more, maybe in Fleming Island or, you know, somewhere like Orange Park, just so that it's not here in Green Cove, I'm sure that we could probably pull that together as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the interest would be in that or not, because
Yeah,
it's not part of the board. We don't have much association with that, but I mean, I guess to wrap it up is the fact that I think we could have talked about it being a future savings and not a guarantee. And I think Mr. Alvaro is right about if you're.
It's more of it's a cost avoidance.
Yeah, it would have been a better way to explain it, I think. That's in the future. I appreciate it.
As an on the board, you know, I would invite, everyone to join one of the virtual open enrollment meetings where I do explain it on an employee, or on an employee level where, it is from their perspective, explaining how the different plans work. So, if you do get questions, you would be able to, speak to what it looks like from their side.
Is that allowed for, is that allowed for anyone that's saved somewhere, they can just go in and look at this? Is it a recording?
So she records the virtuals, there's one today, actually, and she does tend to record them, Hannah.
We'll make sure I record this one today.
Yeah, we can post that then on our benefits site.
Could we also, if we're able to do it virtually, I know for teachers, like if you live in Keystone, you don't want to drive up to.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm thinking, like, and to do it on their contract hour time, I think would be helpful.
Yeah.
So, like, is there a time during their day, whether it's during a staff meeting time or something like that, where we could push in with a virtual healthcare presentation, opportunity to ask questions? I know, because we don't have like enough staff that can visit all the schools.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, especially before open enrollment.
And it doesn't have to be before, I think just educating them on here's your new benefits package, here's the effective way to use it, like we talked about with pushing out primary or urgent care facilities versus emergency care.
Hannah, do you think that we can pull that together maybe twice a year?
Yeah, no, of course. So the one today is virtual. I have another virtual meeting next Thursday. So people can join from anywhere virtually. I will record the one today. We're happy to have any more meetings, whether it be in person or virtual at, different times.
So I think maybe like during the pre-planning before school starts, if we could have a virtual presentation for our teachers during.
Is there a time, so each school does pre-planning so different?
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a specific time of day that you think universally would be best?
I honestly,
I'm the one to answer that.
yeah, I honestly feel like if it was recorded, I mean, I do this a lot because I'm always remote with FSBA. They record it, there's transcripts of the questions people asked, there's readily available links so people can go in at their own pace. I think kind of like a question and answer forum, if she's recording a virtual, and we put it somewhere where people can actually see it and say, hey, you missed it, but here it is, and then maybe even have the ability with a link or something where people can ask questions from what they see. I think that would be.
We could even send it to everybody via their employee, their email. Yeah, I mean, and then they can click on it when they want. They don't even have to find it on the website.
Yeah. I do know people couldn't get to the ones you actually held, like here.
No, I understand.
And so I think that would be a better place, a tool for explaining almost on an individual level.
We want nothing more than to make this easier on everybody.
Yes.
I mean, it makes it easier for them. We get a lot less complaints.
Right.
Everybody is making decisions that they feel good about. So anything that we can do to make it easier and more helpful, we're open to,
Chris, I can work with you on that email. We can work offline if you want until we can get together after this and talk about how that could look.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Is that something that we could ask principals to cover with their staff during pre-planning time, that may look different, like you said, at different schools? I don't know how much time they'll have to devote to it, even if it's just a quick slide sharing the link to, or telling them to check their email for the link to the recorded virtual meetings.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because to Mr. Broski's point, a lot of it is they don't understand this money side, right? The fact that it hasn't gone up for 6 years. I know that last year the board was part of keeping those costs down. I think even though it hits hard how much it is, I think it lands a lot softer when you actually have a better understanding of the money side.
And Hannah, is there any question too, going self-funded, we've definitely saved money going self-funded, right?
We did.
Substantial money going self-funded?
We did. So our actuaries conducted a self-funded feasibility study many years in a row to make sure that it was a good decision for the district. We had dozens of meetings about this. Lots of discussions to make sure that it was the best decision for the district. And, we looked at other districts and how they were funding their plan. Funding, whether it's safely insured or just to go self-funded. It definitely was the best decision for the district. I can definitely, I feel confident saying that if the district would have stayed fully insured, because of the cost of claims over these last 3 years and these increasing, United Healthcare would have given the increase in the premiums, and the district would not have had a choice to accept that increase or not. Fully insured, the carrier kind of runs things, not, you're self-funded, you run the plane yourself, in a way. When you're fully insured, the carrier is the one that determines those premiums. You don't have a choice, you have to take it, and then the district would have had to decide, where is the increase going to go? And there certainly would have been a higher increase from United Healthcare or any other carrier staying fully insured because, they want to make that money. And a big difference, or a big way that plays out is, whenever you're self-funded, of course, you get any kind of surplus, leftover from the cost of premiums to claims, you get the surplus or, pharmacy rebates, for example, which is a really big piece of the puzzle, that's really important for the district to get is pharmacy rebates. When you're fully insured, the carrier keeps all of that money, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so that is one big piece of the puzzle, that absolutely without question gave us the comfortability with the district moving self-funded.
Yeah.
And we're happy to speak more at these virtual open enrollment meetings and in person to, why the district moved to Blue Cross and, just how the cost overall is gonna go down. And just the cost of premiums, how they would have increased with United Healthcare. I mean, I've had a conversation one-on-one with some employees, but I think that we need to be careful with how much we share with employees. Not because we don't want them to know, but just because there is already so much to understand with how the different plans work. And when we get into virtual open enrollment meetings, we're not just talking about medical insurance, we're talking about dental and vision and life. So we don't want to overwhelm them too much. So, any kind of education, whether we need to separate that out here and there for employees throughout the year, we're more than happy to support. We just want to make sure that we're giving the most important information to have. How to operate with their plan that they choose, what's coming out of their paycheck, and not giving too much where, what are they going to do, with certain pieces of information. So, it's just a lot to understand, and we totally understand that, and this is something, these are conversations that we're having with all of our clients.
Well, thank you, Hannah. Is there any more questions for Ms. Hannah? Alrighty. Anything else from you, Ms. Hannah?
I just put this slide up on the screen. I'm not sure if anyone has had a chance to read it or if you want me to go through it, but basically it's just speaking to how the district is required by the state to fund the plan properly. So we definitely need to make sure that we do have premiums that are enough to cover the cost of the claims. I'm not going to read through this slide, but I'll definitely have it sent out to you. But just a reminder that, because you are a public school district, there is a requirement. For private companies, there's not that specific requirement, technically, to have the fund. But being a school district, you are required by the state to have that fund. And I will say that, you're newer in your self-funded journey, and so we understand that it does take time to build a really robust reserve. But you want to have it there in case of catastrophic event. And I know that, Dawn, coming from another school district, being in self-funded space for a long time, I'm sure that she could speak to how she has seen a district, really build a reserve, increase their premiums, or just making sure that they're funding the plan properly, even if the actuary, suggests not increasing a lot, and how, you may build a reserve to, $20 million, but then you have a few really hard catastrophic events that drains that reserve. And you just want to make sure that you have that cushion there to cover the claims, because the last thing that you want is the state to step in and require you to set a certain premium, for example, or make the plans, less rich than they are. That's something that the state, could suggest too. So just a reminder about that we want to make sure that we're funding the plan properly, because the district is required to by the state.
Thank you, Hannah.
My pleasure. I'm more than happy to have any, one-on-one conversations with anyone to talk about any of this. I believe you all have my contact information. I'll have Kristen add it in, so if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
All right, next up. Ms. Terry. Thanks.
All right, quick little Apogee update. I will try to be about 5 minutes.
Everyone else has left the call.
Sorry. So we have been using this timeline with everybody, board, principal, since August. So we're almost a full year in with Apogee from our workshop on August 24th when we all came together and had Jen Ragsdale present. So then we had your guys' approval on September 5th. We immediately started building out our websites in September through December. We launched in January with a new website, new year, new look. We are right here on training staff on rooms for the summer 2025. So our ITS team with Linda and Sabrina are not here. They have been literally training all summer and doing a great job. And then our next step is next week we'll be launching our Parent and Guardians Rooms account. I'm sure most of you, if you're also a parent, you've probably received your notification for Rooms. So just a little bit of website analytics now that we have a good solid 4 months of our comparative analytics. So we switched over to the new Apogee websites in January, and so from our previous year of January 2024 through May 2024 to now January 2025 to May 2025 is what this data represents. So we saw a significant increase in active users of our website. We went from 199,000 to 270,000, and that's an increase of 35%. So we do think the website is a lot more user-friendly, it's a lot more cleaner, it's a lot more visually appealing, so we're seeing that in the data as well in your investment in the website. Our average engagement time has also gone up from 40 seconds on our website to 90 seconds, and that is an increase of 125%.
So I just want to, sorry, I just have to say this out loud. This is what several parents and the community had screamed to us to change. So I just want to say congratulations to us because the data shows that this is exactly what the people wanted. So the investment has paid off and we did listen to our constituents.
I would also like to add, this expenditure happened a year ago because I've had a lot of questions about, if we're tightening the belt straps, why did we spend all this money on Apogee? And so I just want to put it on the record that this decision was made a year ago prior to any knowledge that we may have had to changes in state funding.
And although we incurred a cost in this, we also deleted programs that were worth almost as much as what it cost us to have this.
We're able to do a lot of streamlining because we had a lot of different tools out there as well. And then even I know Mr. Brodsky and I met too yesterday, and it was showed the data that our most viewed web page was the portal web page this last month. And I was like, well, that makes sense if we opened enrollment and teachers were going on to the portal. So good. All right, so our app download. So we did have an old app, so now we have a new app that also launched in January. We are going to continue what we call a drip campaign for downloading the app throughout the rest of the summer and into the beginning of the fall. So from May to July, we increased our Apple downloads by 1,280. So we have a total of 11,000. And then our Android was an increase in 570 in our downloads from May to July. So our total downloads right now are 16,200. We continue to push it. This graphic we have splashed everywhere, even at the back to school bash when parents were coming up and getting a backpack. I was like, do you have an app? And then it was like we had a lot of parents who were like, oh yes, I already have it. So we were like, gold star for you. I did ask a dad and he pulled his wife over and was like, do we have the app? And she was like, yes, we do. So I just know that's how it kind of works in my family as well. So we continue to push that. When we had our registration rally yesterday, we welcomed new families that did register with us in person. And the first thing we did was make sure they downloaded the app as well. All right, so our rooms, we did what was called a soft launch on May 20th, and this was recommended to us by Apogee as the company because we know there's so much that comes at parents and teachers when you head back to school in August. So we did a soft launch, we turned it on, and you got an invitation to rooms to your child's school with like a home room. So this will be our primary communication for school to guardian communication for the 2025-26 school year. So we have been focused on summer trainings, and we had, the way we like to phrase it is, I frame it in thirds. So you have a third of our staff are the early adopters. They are the people that came to training in May. We had 848 teachers of them. Then we have our other third that are like, I'm gonna get through the school year and come to a summer training. We had several of those, and then we have some that will be showing up next week that are, I have no idea what this is, and we're going to be training them next week on our in-service day. So we've been very, very proactive on making sure training has been accessible. So 848 teachers were trained in person in May. Over the summer, Chris Google held a Fine Arts Summer Academy where Linda and Sabrina went, and there was 15 art teachers there that we were able to get trained. We have trained 178 staff members through a virtual backpack, doing it on their own time. 201 staff members have attended a summer virtual rooms training where it is led live by Linda Schreiber. We just trained our 17 athletic directors in July, and we'll be working with our coaches throughout the year. And then we did train our, we've been training our principals on this, I feel like each principal meeting, but then we've also been holding some summer trainings, and we've had 20 administrators trained this summer as well. So we're gonna continue that throughout the process of the school year. Our active room parents account. So right now we have 36% of our parents or guardians with activated rooms account. And the goal from Apogee is 50%. So if you think about all parent kind of families, if we just get one parent has an activated account, then we'll meet our goal of 50%. We do have some shining stars overachiever schools that are already there or close to that activation. So OP is at 53%. Thunderbolt's at 49%, Fleming Island Elementary is at 47%, Patterson Elementary 45%, and Lake Asbury Elementary is 44%. And so what we're also going to be working on is also strategically focusing on secondary schools. National trend that parent engagement kind of drops down the older kids get. So it's not a shock at all for us to see our elementary parents already logged in and getting ready to go. All right, so over the summer, we trained our administrators on Alerts and Engage. Alert is our mass notification system. So if we ever had to have a hurricane, we would make sure we send out an alert. You do not have to have the app to receive an alert. So there's some concern that, hey, if a parent doesn't download the app, they're going to miss all the alerts. No, alerts ties through the parent contact number in Synergy. And we have to have a way where we legally say a school's on lockdown, or we're closing, or there's an emergency. So alerts, you would go in as a principal or myself, I can click to send it as a text message, an audio, or an email. And once again, there is a button that allows me to hit a translate button. So it will translate into however the primary language is written in Synergy. Engage is our new platform for our newsletter. So one of the things we did get rid of with that was our district contract with Smore, which saves money because integrating it in here was more cost effective. So that's a little sample of the board brief that I have the copy right there. That's the digital version of it. So all schools are able to go in and customize their own newsletters and send those out as well to families, to send them out to community members, to send them internally to staff as well. And so really we're just hitting our next steps. For our immediate need in August, we're going to continue marketing to parents and guardians to download the new app to stay connected this school year. A lot of our schools are doing a lot of great creative thinking around it. They're having the QR code on orientation slides, on handouts. Oftentimes, we get more buy-in at the school level with parents than when we do when we send something out from the district. So we've definitely coached that with our principals, that when they're coming to campus, pop up a couple of the QR codes when you come in the main office, have it on the orientation slide. We're going to continue to train our staff on the usage of rooms, refine our websites as needed, and really start launching our Engage and alerts for mass communications. Any questions?
Quick one.
Yes.
I know you said specifically this is for school to guardian
Yes.
communication. Is it also for like teacher or coach to student?
Correct. So if you are a coach, you can set up a room. So I'll use swimming as an example as I'm the swim coach. So I will have tryouts. I'll get the roster of my kids. I can take the roster, upload their student numbers, and create a room that would say FIHS swim team 2025, 2026. And it will automatically, when I load the kid in with their student number, it automatically pulls their parent contact information over. So that's where I could push out announcements and messages as well.
So does that communicate to students? Like, if students
Yes.
have an Aptigee, because
Yes.
I'm thinking secondary, they
Yes, the
typically-
students have the, yes, so students can download it and they would sign in with their single sign-on as well. And then it is on, like the desktop for the students as well, so they could get the website version.
And it's not just for teachers and students, correct? It's community could do this as well?
The community can't get into rooms, but they can.
Talk about that just for a
Yes.
minute, not rooms, but
So the app is for everybody. So as a community member, and say you are a grandparent who is not on social media, you can download the One Clay app, and then you could follow along with the schools that you want to follow along with, or the district as a whole. You're able to see what events are coming up. You're able to see the live feed, which looks very, very similar to a Facebook feed of information, of positive shouts out, like a highlight reel, so to speak, of what's going on at the school and the district. So anybody in the community can download it, see what events are going on at a school. Maybe they want to attend and support as a community member, but they can't get in to access the rooms part.
Right.
On the app, when you go to access room, you do need to have a email or a phone number associated with the student in Synergy for safety.
Will we still have social media accounts for schools, sports teams, the district as a whole?
So we are working on it because based on our Neola policy, which is actually something we kind of just talked with our athletics about, we are working on, we're going to definitely keep our main pages, but we are working to streamline and pull some of those back, because what we're having to do is to make sure that we're in compliance with all our public records laws. We're having to add all of those accounts to Archive Social. There is a cost to it, so we're doing the analysis of that. And then we will also need to do a training on it. So we're trying to pull a lot of those back right now. Yes.
So I'm thinking, again, as we're starting school, football season starts immediately. Personally, I'm a football mom, so finding my students or my athletes' schedule or practice times and all that, some of that is still being posted on social media. So that would still be where we would go to find that information until
we get the rooms up, yeah. That's what we would say, is like until we know we have to kind of work through the kinks of a whole new system. And then the idea would be if you were keeping something that was using it as like Clay High football, that they count, like again, using that as your highlight reel and keeping that stuff that I call it like in the family stuff, that would be like not information you want to share completely with the public for safety and security concerns in rooms.
Okay.
And can you just talk for a brief moment about the safety of our app for people who are not wanting to download the app, and
Yes.
safety measures that are included with all of this new Apogee stuff?
Well, so with Apogee, first of all, they do follow all ADA compliance. So when we post to Apogee app through TheralShare, it mandates we cannot move forward on our posts unless we use alt text. So that is great. So our app is fully accessible to everybody through ADA compliance. And then everything that's on the app, when you're talking about rooms as far as communication, it is held in our public records. So Apogee will hold it as well for safety needs. Is there, I don't think there's anything of like, there's no, to me, like when you have like an app with Facebook and Meta, there's not like, somebody's not breaking in and stealing your account, because as a parent, you're not doing any posting, you're on the receiving side of the information, and in order to do the communication side, you do have to log in every time with rooms. Like, I cannot share my log, like sharing, yes, it has to be log in, you can set up your face recognition and stuff, so hopefully that answers some of it.
Well, I mean, people are well aware of sometimes when you download apps that there are tracking and different things happening with apps.
Oh,
And so our app,
yes, and I don't think it's, yeah, it doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't track. I don't know, I don't live in like the
No,
evil,
I
like, I was like the evil eye world, and I feel like everybody's tracking us.
I don't think it does, but I also think that we have safeguards to protect.
I think, are you talking specifically about data sharing? Like,
Yeah,
is it going to
Safeguards, yeah.
harvest your data and?
Oh, no, we have an agreement with it as well. And then we have worked, part of our training model as well is when you are communicating through that, like if a teacher is sharing something through rooms, to make sure you're not inadvertently sharing PII information or anything like that. So we've had that as trainings as well.
Privacy.
Yes, yes.
Those are the questions I had. Is it private? Are they looking at my phone?
Yes, but what I would like to say about everything that comes with apps is everybody's able, no matter what platform you're using, you're able to take a screenshot and share
Yes.
share things to the masses. So we've had to work really, really hard on making sure that what we post, as far as pictures even go, that we're not having classroom room numbers or login information to, something in the background on the whiteboard that you wouldn't foresee as an issue. So we've done a lot of training on that as well, just to make sure that we're protecting teachers and students' identities.
Thank you.
Okay. The other part, just before I end, I always like to, what I would say is manage expectations in the beginning of the school year. When you launch something this big, you might get some phone calls and emails from some parents and teachers, and we're aware, the Cadre team, we're working on it, we're trying to troubleshoot. Even, I think all of us every day are troubleshooting parents that are downloading it or can't find one kid in there but can find the other. So, just knowing, I don't expect us to always bat 1,000, but we are working on anything that pops up as kinks to get it fixed. And as a company, Apogee has, our whole team has said this, as a customer service company, they have been phenomenal. And something that's really great about ThrillShare is what the teacher CETA post, is that they even have access to their helpline. So some companies, they say, oh, we only let you have like 5 people contact us. No, they will let anybody who has access to ThrillShare. So if you're a teacher in there and like, I don't know what I just posted in rooms, you could do the little message chat bot and it's a real person talking to you. So I think that's really, their customer service has been great.
Are you
And
sure that they're real?
they are. They are 100% real.
In the flesh.
One time I left real quick because obviously like an emergency happened, and I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, I was talking to somebody here and a new person was like, hey Terry, this is so-and-so, are you still here and need help? I was like, a new person came. Yes. So they will send us back some memes, jokes, emojis, all of it. So they're a great company and they've been very helpful and responsive. So we just know, once everybody comes back and everybody starts using a system, yes, there might just be some phone calls and emails, but we're working on it. So.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So I'm going to forego the agenda for the sake of the hour. It's a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of the routine stuff. In looking over it, it did not seem like there was anything of
Pretty small.
yeah, there were a lot of good stuff by ops happening in here. A lot of routine business operations within the district. If you do review it and have a question, please give me a call. I'm always available to answer that. You guys, as we're getting ready, first day for teachers on Monday, it's just like, people that are finishing building a house. It's all that last details of getting it. So a little pressed for time today, so thank you so much.
Attorney, comments?
No, ma'am.
All right, board member comments, Mr. Alvera? No? Ms. Hanson?
I have nothing right now.
Ms. Clark?
I want to thank you for putting it on the agenda to invite Hannah and have Chris here, because we can't go over that enough for people to understand. And I can't imagine people didn't realize the start of October 1, but it helps to reiterate that. But I had sat with Travis Cummings a while back, and I think we figured the first year the district saved $5 million. Because when you're with that insurance product, they're keeping the profit, and they're going to continue to go up. So education's key. Just 2 questions. How are we doing with salvaging drama in Glimmy Island and art at Beauregard?
Both have been resolved.
Okay, good. So any phone calls, we can respond positively. That's it.
Ms. Gohausen? All right, I just wanted to ask, Terry, you did a great job on this. Can we put our little report card that was on social media on this?
Yes.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
Because I tried to remember that in my head when I talked to people, and so when I shared that, like, so many people were excited about that. So anyways, I think that would be good to add to here. Also, and maybe, I don't know how the board would feel about this as far as like a reminder of like no vaping, maybe some, like I don't even know that we could do an education piece, but maybe like a graphic of, hey, remind your kids, like, this is illegal or something. I don't know. And maybe, should we put that on there? Do we not want to put that on
I
there?
think let's start the school year on a positive note.
Okay, well, it is positive, I'm reminding you, don't do this, for your health, you can end up on a ventilator and all the things. But anyways, okay.
We can start that next month.
Okay.
That's positive.
We don't have to, I wanted it to be a reminder, because a lot of people, there's still a lot of lack of education, is all I'm saying.
I don't think
And-
that they don't know it's against the rules. I think they know that.
Yeah.
That makes it somehow.
Right, however, anyways,
Is
okay.
the infographic, the graphic we got from the sheriff's office, you know, the one with all the straightforward data on it, is that available for people to see
We can get it.
how our investment has affected us and what has happened during that year, just that one page?
If
Like this,
maybe
can we
could-
put it on there?
Can we just attach it to our agenda maybe from this meeting?
I think it's very comforting to see what's happening and it's easily read, so.
Right, so like when I look at those statistics, I think that the danger with statistics is they mean different things to certain people.
Yeah.
Like some people would look at that data and they would say, oh my goodness, there was
Yeah.
a student that had drugs at school. I look at it as a former high school principal and just knowing the world around me as our numbers are really low, which is positive.
Right.
Somebody else might look at it and misinterpret that data, so that's a consideration anytime that you're bringing data forward. We can certainly get a digital copy of it and put it somewhere.
I view things differently, I'm a little bit more of a realist, so, it's me. All right, this meeting is adjourned.